Alright, okay, we are live. Excellent. Alright, it's time for book club. I was getting all worried. I'm like, I don't know, I didn't pick a book for book club. I'm like, yes I did, I picked it last time. Fuck yes, preparation. So now that means I have to pick a book for next book club this time too, so that I'm set up next time as well. Oh my goodness. I just went skating and it was good. It was just a quick little skate. But now I'm like tired. I'm like, I want to go to bed. I'm like, no, don't go to bed. Vodka Red Bull. It's like so early. It's like 8 p.m. I'm actually on time for book club for once. It's like 8 p.m. We took the dog out. She hung out while I skated. And she was good. Then she started barking. I'm like, okay, that's enough time. We'll go home. We'll take you for more walksies. And we did. And it worked out really well. Because the rink right near me is, it's good. It has a little, like, seating near it, so it's cool. But oh my goodness, I spent all morning kind of filming and editing videos and TikToks and that kind of stuff. So I was pretty busy, but you know how she goes. Okay, hold on, let me check the sounds. Okay, I think that's good. I think the balance is pretty good. I was worried the music was too loud, but I think it's fine. And I got more of the spicy dill pickle chips, which I love. I'm super excited about those. I don't need that anymore. Good. I don't know what my hair's doing. I wasn't worried about my hair today. I'm like, oh my god, get dressed, get to the skating rink, finish some fucking video editing. I'm not sure what book to do next year though, so if anyone next month, what book to do for next month. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know. Otherwise, I am going to go through the 12-week year, which is also what I went through. I feel like this camera is too high. Like I can't look at it properly. I'll lower the camera. Can I lower the camera? It's like on the ring light. Gosh, I don't know. Okay. I feel like I can't. Maybe if I just put it on this chair or something. Hey, Jig. That'll like nothing everything over. Is that possible? I don't know. Is it? Hi, Jig. You're possible. Good dog. That's still not going to be. I want it like right there. But maybe if I put it down. No, I don't want it there. Ah, it's so confusing. You know, hold on, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna have to take it off of its current stand, though. I don't know. What's everyone else been reading lately? Let me know while I kind of mess around with my camera. What could I do? I could raise the computer. Or I could lower the computer. No, it's the opposite of what I need. See, my brain's dead. I just used all my brain on skating. No, I didn't have any left. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to take it off of the... I think actually I'm just gonna take it off of its ring light and then just like clip it on the computer because it has a function for that, but I never use it. Oh, that's working. Oh, there it is. I think we're getting it. I'm trying to do it. There we go, without twisting the camera cable too much. Okay, now come on, you're supposed to balance. Balance with me. No, too much. Okay, this way, like that. Hi, too far. I don't know, will that work? Is that kind of better? No, not like that. Okay, but the sugar has to move. Okay, I think I can work with that. Let me, yeah. Maybe like that. Oh, but I set up my camera and my candle and everything there. And now it's like not in, oh no, it's kind of still in the shot. Okay, cool. How are we doing? Okay, we're in. And if I tilt it down, those tops of those picture frames won't be in. But I might be? Might be, yeah, good. Oh, dog's not in the frame anymore though. Dog friend. That's okay, she's right here. I can still appreciate her. Someone redeems a bother that dog, I will bother her on camera. Alright. Okay, so step one, I've achieved... Can I like push the chair back maybe? I feel like the camera's too close now. Oh, maybe if I just push the camera further away. See, I'll figure things out. I'm just taking it easy today. I'm just like, I don't know. Today's the first day off I've had in a while because last week work was bizarre. So I didn't really take a day off. I guess I could just sit where the candle is. But I wanted to be like up close and personal in the armchair for book club. But I don't know if it's working or not. This is not too bad, kind of. I'm like off-centered though. I suppose that's alright. I suppose that's alright. We'll survive. Okay, I do have all of my notes from this book though available. So I'll go through them all. I'm hoping I didn't do this last time. No, it would have been January when I did the last one. So this is February. So that's right. Yeah, it just feels, it was like a good 5 weeks ago because there was an extra week in January, kind of the way that weeks worked. So I feel like I'm like behind or missing a week or something, but really, we're on schedule. All right, so the 12-week year, which I've talked about multiple times now, in both book club last month, and in the goal planning workshop. And if you're interested in the goal planning workshop, you can buy the goal planning planner over at my website. And that is available. Why isn't it working? There we go. Over at my website right now. And if you don't like the rose design, I will be coming out with a less floral, less feminine design at some point in the near future, but I haven't published it yet. I'm also going to be publishing a hard copy on Amazon if you'd prefer to have one that you don't have to print yourself, because it's quite, there's lots of graphics involved. Not really, there's just lots of background involved, but it's pretty, which is what I wanted. I mean, you're going to be paying for printing anyways. You know what I mean? Okay. So I'm like so slow at getting anything going today. I don't know. But I'm really excited about this book. It's been really helpful for me so far, even though like I'm only in like my second week of my first 12-week year. But I started planning that out on the goal planning session, which is why I was talking about it, and started planning out my own kind of what are my major goals and what are my goal scorecards and kind of how to organize all that. And then I worked it into the whole framework, which was saying, sugar, don't leave me, I love you. You're so nice and soft and warm. Where are you? There you are. Good sugar. I wonder if can I do anything like this to kind of get the chair more back? No, not really. I'm just gonna like jam things into problem areas here. How do I do that? A little bit. Not really. Okay, cool. Sorry, dog's still here. I'm trying to see if I can like reach my planner, but I'm gonna have to get up to get it, so we'll deal with that later. Right now, let me just I'll just read out quotes that I thought were useful from the book, right? And if anyone has any questions, you can let me know. So I'm gonna read out the summary bit of it first, that kind of describes the whole idea. I'm also going to turn down music so I still feel like it's too loud, even though I didn't feel like it was too loud when I was checking it. It's too loud for me. Let's redefine a year. A year is no longer 12 months. It is now only 12 weeks. That's right. A year is now a 12-week period. There are no longer 4 periods in a year. That's old thinking. Now there is just a 12-week year, followed by the next 12-week year, ad infinitum. Each 12-week year period stands on its own. It is your year. So I'm kind of doing a modified version of this because I'm still looking at it as like the year with 4 quarters kind of thing. But the whole idea is that it's a 12-week individual thing, and you don't set year goals and then break them down into quarterly goals. You set year goals and then you finish them in 12 weeks. So that kind of action instead of setting really long goals that humans are notoriously bad at predicting how much we can do in a year. Apparently, hey Meowtha, you got first. How's it going today? Statistically, apparently, we tend to overpredict what we can do in 1 year and underpredict what we can do in 3. So if you're setting annual goals, you're going to be failing. But people also set annual goals, and the whole point of this book is that people set annual goals that they could do in a much shorter time because they waste most of the year, get to like kind of the fall and go, oh, I've got to catch up. And then they make all of their sales or all of their, products or whatever in the last 3 months of the year. And it's like, well, could you have done that in the first 3 months of the year and then done more? So the whole point is to kind of not let yourself get into that whole concept of the year is so long. It's kind of amorphous. Hey, Simple Passerby. How's it going? My goal is, I have a couple goals. My main goal is to kind of put out a bunch of new products. My second goal is to continue like building audience kind of on Twitch and on TikTok and Instagram. And I want to get out some samples this year too for fashion. So kind of passive income businesses, digital products, and fashion products. What about you? What are your goals this year? And have you heard of this book, The 12-Week Year? Or do you have another kind of, I don't know, productivity or goal setting strategy that you use? What else did I like about this one? Oh, you're gonna leave me, aren't you, dog? Hi, Floof. Good Floof. Yeah. Oh, nice. Very nice. Hi, oh, Happy. Oh, you're not on camera, though. I think you're on camera because it's like the part of the table that has junk on it, to be quite honest. You work so much that reading makes you sleepy? I know that feel. I started reading in the morning now. Kind of when I wake up, I read. It's part of my morning routine, which was part of Atomic Habits, which we read in book club like a couple months ago. And Atomic Habits is the best for instigating any sort of habit you want in your life, whether that's reading or meditation or exercise or quitting a habit, like if you're quitting smoking. Atomic Habits. But, so now I read in the morning, which is what I generally like too, because I don't like jumping into the day. I like kind of sitting and waking up and like getting my brain engaged. So one of the biggest things this book talks about is the stuff that how we often decide to do something and then fail at it. Like we don't do it. We decide, oh, we're gonna, eat right or exercise every day or study hard every day, and then we just don't. Like we fail at it. And it's like, okay, well, what's the disconnect? What's the breakdown? Why don't we succeed in those things that we say we're going to? Oh, you started swimming twice a week this year in the morning. That's excellent. Yeah, I used to when I was in university, actually, I did a lot of morning swimming. And then I switched over to whenever swimming because I realized that it wasn't worth the extreme like stress and hassle for me to get up early in the morning to go swimming. I could do it a little bit. I got into a habit, but I'm not a morning person, and I'm like, why am I forcing myself to be a morning person? Like even like getting up before school at when school starts at 8:30, and it's like, this is awful. Like I don't want to be doing this. So I stopped forcing myself to be a morning person when I am not, and my life has been so much the better for it. So this book, I'm really trying to stop saying as much because like and that kind of stuff. When I watched videos back, I hear how much I do it, and I'm like, that is insane. Like, please, let's try not to do that. So if you hear me just pausing, that's what I'm trying to do in my head. This book talks about how, for the most part, we choose actions that are comfortable, and new actions are kind of, by definition, going to be uncomfortable because we don't know them yet. We don't understand them. We don't have a sense of familiarity. We don't have a base for them. So they will always feel uncomfortable, and therefore, by default, we will try to avoid them, which is exactly what we do. Different things work for different people, right? Exactly. It's all about knowing yourself. This talks about how, without a compelling reason to choose otherwise, people choose the comfortable actions over the uncomfortable ones. And I think I put this as one of my quotes in one of my co-working streams. In order to succeed, in order to achieve what you're capable of, you have to be willing to sacrifice your comfort in order to excel. Which is like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of that whole concept of like, what is it that is actually the differentiating factor? I'm really mad at my hair right now. I feel like it's not doing what I want. I'm like staring at it, so I'm not liking it. Okay, alright, I'm gonna try to stop. I'm just trying to stop getting distracted. I'm like so in ADD mode today because I'm not in work mode, and I'm like, whatever. Let's just chill. I haven't got any more Red Bull. Plus, again, I'm tired. But I shouldn't be. Oh, I did get up this morning. This wasn't one of those days where I got up. Oh, no, shush, shush, shush. It felt like a no. There we go. Alright. I was going to say alright way too much. I don't like that. I would like to have more of a variety of things that I say. But I guess I'll figure it out eventually. So the book was talking about valuing important things over your own comfort. Makes sense. Yeah, and this kind of goes back to, the next book I should put in book club should be, which I've already read, should be what is it called? It's not the Achievement Habit. What's it called? The 4 Types, something like that. Okay, that's gonna be the book for next month. I just need to write this down so I don't forget, because that was one of my goals for this stream, was to set a book for next month. What is it called? It's The 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. Let's see. That is exactly what I should talk about next month, because that way I won't spend all this month talking about it. Gretchen Rubin. Will be next month. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad I have a drink. The reason I remembered that is because this talks about how the most important thing for the author of this book was having a really clear vision that would guide him in succeeding in his goals. That works great if you are a questioner or an upholder, which are 2 of the tendencies. But if you are an obliger or a rebel, then you kind of need some other different techniques to get you through it as well. And one of the best parts about that book is how it talks about everyone who has their own system for getting through something just literally doesn't realize that it won't work necessarily for other people if they don't have the same attitude or the same mental tendencies, the 4 tendencies, toward expectations. And there's internal and external expectations. And That's an internal expectation, understanding why you want something and going for it. And some people respond better to those and some people respond worse. So we will cover that next month. Stay tuned. All right. Yeah, it talks about when you feel like you're in conflict with yourself, when you feel like your brain isn't doing what you want it to. You said last night you were going to get up early tomorrow and, you know, do some extra work before, extra study, extra business, extra whatever before work, and instead you slept in. Why? Basically, your brain wants to avoid danger and stay alive. Anything that is different than what you know and see today immediately reads to your brain as a danger because it can't predict it. And unless you intentionally engage that part of your brain, you are strengthening the resist and stasis parts of your brain. So it talks about how one way to start developing the change part of your brain is to actively think about your goals, write them down, make sure you are spending a decent part of your time putting your brain in the state of what that will look like. So it has some idea of a prediction, where if you're just like, I want to make $1 million, and you don't think about what it looks like to get there or what it will look like when you're there, your brain's like, no, I don't think we want to do that. I think we're just going to stick with exactly what we know. And it will actively inhibit you and hold you back. It talks about keeping score, because if you don't track what you're doing, you can't tell whether it's working or not. And also, keeping score, again, works in psychologically, because humans love games, we love scorekeeping. That's why sports are so popular. We like knowing kind of where something is at and how close it is to succeeding or not. So it's like, work with the human psyche. It play into the things it wants to do so that it's not manipulating you. Right? Because your own brain will do exactly what it wants to get safety and security. And if you want something more than what you currently have, you need to push it out of that comfort zone. What do we have here? I'm just trying to find the most important parts of the book to cover, so that if you're interested in it, you might go pick it up. I definitely recommend it. I thought it was really good. So, based on tracking, lead measures versus lag measures, I definitely went into this on the goal planning stream. So lead measures are things that you can control, things that you do. So how many times you post to social media, how many times you call a client, how many times you make a sales call, that kind of stuff, like what you actually do versus, hey Julia, how's it going? And then lag measures are the things that you can't control. So how many sales did you make? How many followers do you have? How many, phone calls back did you get? They are related. You get more of the lag indicators based on how many lead indicators you do, but you can't control it exactly. It's kind of a mystery to how much it'll actually work. And if you're only tracking one or the other, you're not getting the whole picture, especially if you're only tracking lag indicators like sales or revenue. You have no idea what you're doing, whether what you're doing is working or not. And even if what you're doing is functioning. It really talks about the difference between execution and a bad plan. You can have a perfect plan, but if you're not executing it, it's going to fail. And then if you say, oh, this plan is terrible, social media doesn't work for me, it's like, well, you didn't actually follow your own plan even. How do you know it doesn't work? The person you were taking advice from said post every day, and you were posting once a week. So saying social media doesn't work for you is kind of not really fair. Whereas if you post every day and then you're like, this still isn't working, now it's worthwhile to actually be like, okay, what else can I try? Because it's just not working, even though I'm following the best advice out there. And I think that's really important, that kind of being able to stop a plan because you know it's not working versus because you're just not doing it properly. And then again, on the other hand, if you can't execute your plan to a certain extent, then that's also important information to know. If you're like, well, I tried to post every day, but I couldn't, that was impossible for me. Like, was it really, or should you have, like, could you have rearranged things a bit more to make it a priority? But after a certain point, it's like, okay, well, I couldn't post like 10 times a day. Like, I just physically couldn't, right? And it's like, if that's your 1 time a day, maybe you can't. In which case, you need a different plan. Like, if there's no way to execute it at 100%, there's no point trying to. You're never going to succeed. You might as well have a better plan that actually focuses on what you can do. And so in that case, is it, okay, post once every 3 days, but also do something else? So kind of those types of things I think are so crucial. Let me see what else we've got here. Lead measures, lag measures. What goals do you have, Julia? Or what have you guys been reading? Yeah, and I saw this all the time when I was working in sales. People make a sales plan like, I'm going to call this many clients every day, and then I'm going to make this much money. And it's like, okay, but then you didn't actually. You only called half that many in a day, and then next month you're like, okay, I'm not focusing on sales calls anymore. I'm only focusing on the internet, like on internet sales. And it's like, you didn't even try the previous plan properly. You just got bored with it. Ooh, so one of the good things this book has is like, it gives example kind of a goal scorecard, which I found really useful. Basically how to organize tracking your goals, especially for 12 whole weeks. So that's one of the things I added into the goal planner. And it has, basically you measure the execution. The weekly scorecard measures execution of goals. And then you would also track your lag indicators in a different spreadsheet, basically, a different sheet. They were talking about how if you can complete 85% of everything in your weekly plan, and that's kind of all of your goals, then you're doing fine. It's going to go through. You'll be okay. You don't need 100% all the time. But if you're doing less than that, and especially I think they said if you're doing less than 65%, that's when you know something is wrong. This plan is not executable. There's something that doesn't fit with your lifestyle or what your actual goals are, and you need to kind of reevaluate and readjust. You have a jewelry business, but you haven't made sales because you haven't advertised. And you're not sure what to do other than posting online. Oh, we'll post a link here, and yeah, feel free to post a link here so we can all go check it out. What kind of stuff have you done so far? Like, you have the website, and then like do you like post on like Instagram, or do you post on Twitch kind of stuff, or what do you do? Is it just like an online business, or is it like do you sell locally as well? This also talked about how be really careful not to let yourself fall into the trap of when you start failing at execution. Like if you have a week where you only got like maybe 10% of things done, don't just ignore it and like brush off the spreadsheet and be like, this isn't working, because that's what your subconscious is going to want to do. It's going to want to be like, we're not tracking this anymore. We don't like it. And it's like, that's exactly when you need to track it the most and really make sure you are continuing to keep on it. You value your business papers, and some of your items are on Etsy, but you haven't posted anywhere yet. Okay, send us a link to your Etsy. And someday you'll sell in real life. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, have you set up like an Instagram and a TikTok? Honestly, like Instagram's useful because people look for you there, but you won't. Instagram's such a... I'm sure some people are being very successful on Instagram right now. It is so hard to be successful on Instagram right now, and it is so easy to be successful on TikTok right now. Hang out on jewelry TikTok, figure out what all the successful accounts are doing, and just start making your own versions of those videos, and your TikTok account will start taking off. Especially if you're making stuff yourself, if you're hand making things, people love that on TikTok. 100% lean into that. You will find some audience there. Especially once you can like start following the trends, and like once you start getting some video editing down and that kind of stuff, and that just comes the more you the more time you spend on TikTok, the better you get at it. So I definitely recommend that for right now. You can cross post to Instagram as well. That's what I do, but I don't worry about how my Instagram is doing because it doesn't basically. Whereas TikTok does. Yeah, so don't let yourself pretend that you're going to get to it later and put it off to the next week. Just put the score down and move on to the next week. And don't let yourself be like, I'm not doing that. Also, like, use Twitch too. Like, if you're making stuff, just put the camera on and make stuff on Twitch, right? I don't know if you've been doing that already. Oh, and then we have a quote, Henry David Thoreau. It's not enough to be busy, so are the ants. The question is, what are we busy about? And so it's talking about the difference between that kind of busy work that you can do, where you get stuck in all of the urgent tasks that are not important, versus the important tasks that aren't urgent, that always get pushed to the back and never get finished. And that's why everyone gets stuck in their cycle, their little regular routine, and never actually makes it to the next level, because you just keep pushing everything to the side to focus on the urgent stuff that really maybe didn't even have to be done at all, maybe could be late. Oh, and it talked about planning for unexpected things. Make sure you leave time and space in your schedule so that you can deal with interruptions, you can deal with all the stuff that comes up that people get freaked out about and confused about when you're like, I'm going to spend all day doing this, and then you have like 3 things come up that you weren't expecting, and you're like, well, damn it, I guess I'm not going to do it. And it's like, if you have a planned space for those, and you're like, I will deal with that tomorrow. It's not urgent, actually. Nothing will happen if I don't do it today. And then you can kind of like intentionally do that. And it talks about too, if you're working in an office or more of a traditional job where other people are going to give you tasks, like they're going to call you or they're going to email you something to do, or you're going to get a surprise assignment for your boss, how to like work around those, and also how to set up, if you have the ability, how to set up a particular time in your day where you're like, this is what the time I respond to emails, this is the time I return phone calls, so that people aren't expecting all day, every day for you to be constantly available. Because that kills your productivity, right? If you have to constantly stop what you're doing and respond to someone. So one of the things this book talks about that I haven't, I wrote down in my weekly schedule, but I haven't actually really implemented yet, is the strategic blocks, buffer blocks, and breakout blocks. Where the heck is the camera? It's like over here. So those 3 things are things to add into your schedule. Basically, strategic block is a 3-hour block of uninterrupted time where you focus on your strategic, most important activities. That's all the stuff that otherwise might get pushed to the back. You have a specific time where that is the most important, that is the most urgent thing that you do. And that way it always has a place. And if you keep it to like a 3-hour stretch, you have enough time for your brain to get into the flow, to get into that zone and really produce something. And then it talks about how you might want to switch those around too if you have different needs for what you need to get done. Your printer's not working. You forgot it's a new laptop and the printer's not even connected yet. I do that sometimes. That's so funny. It's like, why isn't it working? It's like, oh yeah, it's just never connected before. It doesn't even know it exists. I've been there. Breakout blocks. Breakout blocks are talking about taking time away from work. It mentions that this is kind of how your brain needs free space in order to excel at its highest level. This is taking time away from work. This is taking time to breathe. This is, instead of working harder, working more hours, this is taking a step back and like actually just doing something different so that your brain has that free time. I'm sure everyone's had that moment where you're doing something completely random and then you get this great idea and you're like, what? I wasn't even thinking about it. That's the idea of the breakout blocks. It also recommends to not start with breakout blocks in your schedule unless you think that's something you can work with, because otherwise it can just very easily lead into just wasted time. Knocking stuff over. You couldn't get to the Etsy link because you're not logged into this laptop. I hate that too, where you're like, oh god, it's gonna take me forever to find that link. Whenever you get it, feel free to post it. And you can post it in the Discord too. I'll post Discord for anyone who's not in the Discord. Bam. You can talk about books all month long. We have a book club channel in the Discord. And if you create something else, you can also post that in the Discord as well. Okay, what else do we have here? Oh, and buffer blocks. I kind of skipped over that one. Buffer blocks are, again, it's the email, the voicemail, when people are going to come hang out at your desk or give you a call. They know that that's the time of day that you're going to respond to that. And then as long as you're reliable at that, they'll very easily learn that that's the best time to contact you because they'll get an immediate response. Whereas if they contact you at any other time of the day, they'll have to wait until that time. So it works out pretty well, especially if you're in a more traditional office environment, or if you have like friends or family who are constantly a bother. And that can depend, like, if you're working from home and you have a full house of family or etc., that can get pretty busy. What else do we have here? And again, if anyone watching has read anything good themselves, feel free to bring it up. Like, let's talk about it too. On Discord, probably, let me see, I've got Discord open here. Probably just under hobbies, right? And then if you have like specific or non-specific business questions, because it sounds like you're kind of like at that stage where you're like, I'd like to do more marketing, but I'm not quite sure. Post that in the business section, like under business mastermind or wins and challenges, something like that. Like, hey, here's my brand new TikTok. It's new. Can someone go, would anyone go give it a like or give it a follow? And if anyone has any advice, kind of those kind of things you can do too. Because we are here to support and help out other people in the community. It talks about getting into the habit of doing things even when you don't feel like doing them. That kind of leads back into that Atomic Habits and or 4 Tendencies kind of stuff, where it's like, that's great if you can remember and it's enough for you to be like, this is my goal, but for a lot of us that's not enough, and then you need some of the other books. But it does talk about how, because it's only a 12-week commitment, it can actually be much easier to keep because it's not like a whole year that you have to do. And if you give up, like, it's not because you need that whole year free. Like, you can just stick with it for 12 weeks. It's only 12 weeks. Like, really? Do you have to give it up? Just keep going. Finish off the 12 weeks. And in doing so, you start proving to yourself that you keep your commitments, you keep your goals, you do what you say you're going to do, which is great for your subconscious. It also talks about making sure you do break down the 12-week goals into milestones so that you can see progress as you're going, because 12 weeks is long enough that you can definitely lose sight of where you're at. It talks about, this was a big thing that the author was pushing, which is accountability as ownership. So instead of like external accountability, like I'm doing this because my boss told me to, it's internal ownership of I'm doing this because I want to build this skill or move this thing forward or make these sales for myself or build my business, instead of having to have. And again, that leads into the 4 tendencies. If you're someone who is very internally driven, that's going to work great for you. If you're someone who works well with external motivators, this is not the best advice. Talks about commitment again. And how you have to make the right choices for a long time, and then you achieve greatness eventually. But the point is, it's achieved in the moment when you do the tasks, not in the moment when you get the results. So greatness in the moment, not greatness in the results, and focusing on that. Which I thought was pretty good. And it goes through kind of 5 execution disciplines. So vision, planning, process control, measurement, and time use. I'll just cover those quickly. So vision, again, plan for the future. What's your clear emotional connection to what you want? Planning, make sure you actually like organize a system to get there instead of just being like from A to B, question mark, question mark. Process control, this is all the tools, kind of how you're timing things, what the plan is, what sort of tools are you using to keep yourself on track? Are you using a planner? Are you using a timing system? Are you using like an external company to help you with marketing? Are you using whatever it is? What are all the tools that you're using? Measurement, make sure you're measuring lead and lag indicators and that you're doing it on a regular basis in a systematic way. And time use, be aware of how you're spending your time if you're not tracking it. And I use Toggle for time tracking, and this year I got way into it. Like I'm tracking everything at this point, and it's been really interesting to actually watch how time is spent. I really recommend Toggle, and just time tracking in general, especially if you have your own business or if you're a freelancer, or even if you just have a side hustle or anything like that. Can be useful. Or even if you're just working from home but you have a traditional job, it can be interesting to see how you're spending your time. Or even if you're working in an office and you have it, or whatever, and you have a traditional job, and you want to succeed, you want to get a promotion, you want to make more money, you want to X, Y, and Z. Well, track how you're spending your time, and then is that how you want to be spending your time? You can actually decide and make a judgment. Whereas otherwise, again, you're just changing your plan based on, you know, your imagination if you haven't actually tracked anything. It talks about the emotional cycle of change. I thought that was useful. So it says the 5 stages before changing your behavior are uninformed optimism. That's the stage where you're like, yeah, I'm going to have this cool new goal and it's going to be so great. 2, informed pessimism. You're like, why isn't this working? This is terrible and it's never going to work. 3, valley of despair. Why did I even start this? Like, I can't do this. This is a dumb plan. Then you move up again. 4, informed optimism. So that's kind of like, oh wait, okay, maybe if I focus on X, Y, and Z because I've been tracking stuff, those are the things that are actually working. Let's focus my time on those. That's informed optimism. And then 5 is success and fulfillment, where you're executing on the stuff that you've tracked and you know will work, and it continues to work. So I thought that was a good kind of admitting the fact that most of the time, for a lot of people, we set new goals and we're like, this is so great, I'm so excited. And then a week later, you're like, yeah, I'm over this. And it's like, no, you're in a valley. Don't worry. Keep tracking, keep iterating, and keep adjusting your course. You can't just keep going full throttle into something that's not working. You have to adjust and lead toward what is working. But don't worry if you're not perfect the first time. Adjust and course correct, and you'll be all right. Because most people give up at that 3rd stage where they're like, this is too uncomfortable. Discomfort again. I don't want to, it's not worth it. And it's like, well, you thought it was worth it when you started, so Don't give up halfway through. At least execute 100%, and then if you find it's not worth it, then you can make a new decision at the end of 12 weeks. But you only have to go for 12 weeks. Oh, this went through kind of how to actually craft your vision, like kind of more detail, long-term aspirations versus midterm goals, and the 12-week goals. So that was good. And this was kind of some of the stuff we did in the goal planning workshop. It was very similar type of things, like how to construct a vision of your future, what does your life look like, what inspires you, like mentally, relationships, financially, professionally, physically, spiritually, like all the different categories which we covered in the goal planning workshop. So similar stuff there. Yeah, talking about how like some people really think like vision is like kind of a silly, fluffy, kind of useless kind of thing, and it's like, okay, but it actually does, you know, like sure, you don't have to buy into it, but it might help you if you do. And at the very least, you should have a practical plan for what your goals are, even if you don't want to like spend time sitting and dreaming about the future. Right? If you're like, nope, I'm just gonna make lots of money, or you know, have a successful business or whatever, that's fine. Just write it down. Oh, it actually had a bunch of really interesting details on like working with a team, like working with, if you're managing a team or if you're a part of a team, how to like, A, how to implement the system with a team, and B, how to work in this system in a team, or how to work in this system if the rest of your company like isn't, and it's just you. So very good information there. How to take more ownership of your task and your vision. How to do the reviews. Make sure you're touching base with employees every month if they're doing this. If they're executing less than 65%, readjust and figure out what's going wrong. Do they need a different plan, or like do they need a different motivation? Yeah, it specifically talks about how some people think vision is fluff. But if you don't have any compelling reason, it's hard to stay committed. Sitting in the stream makes you want to be productive. Yes, that's the whole idea. I love it. What are you going to be productive about? What's your next goal? No, you have to use hashtags 100%. You don't have to use, like, I think Instagram allows you like to use 35 or something. You don't have to use that many. But no, 100% you have to use hashtags as a business. Every business is using hashtags. The great part about TikTok is that the text field is actually pretty short, so you can only fit so many hashtags in there. So it really, number one, for me, I like it because then I don't spend like half an hour trying to think of hashtags to fill up the space. It's just like, oh, I'm out of space. All right, that was 10 or 20 hashtags. We're done. And you don't even need that many because TikTok will just, once you get an audience, TikTok will send your stuff to the right people anyways. But no, 100% use hashtags. And there's a bunch of good insights on how to find interesting hashtags, and kind of, because you don't want to use all really big ones, things like jewelry, or hashtag Instagram, or hashtag For You page when you're a small business, because you're going to be buried immediately. No one will ever see it. You want to kind of use a mix of like small and medium and large size hashtags, so that you kind of have some chance of maybe actually catching on someone's attention. But you don't want to be a cringy TikTok business. Go on TikTok and hang out on channels that you like, and avoid the channels that you don't like. The more time you spend on channels that you like, where they're doing something that you like I love the videos where it's about how to make things. Like, here's how I made a ring. Here's how I made this necklace. Here's how, here's my inspiration for whatever. Here's how I designed this on my iPad. Like, I really like those videos on TikTok, and they don't have to be like silly dance videos. They can just literally be, here's how I made this thing. Here's what I did for my job. Here's how I did this work. Right? And maybe you put some music in the background. But they can be really cool. The trick for TikTok is to have, and Instagram, is to have quick cuts. Don't bother posting photos. No one cares. It's all videos. Even if all you have are photos, make them a video. TikTok's really easy for that. You can just add photos to to a new video and then add music and it'll make it a video for you. But quick cuts, don't be on anything for like a long period of time, especially when you're starting. Your video should only be 15 seconds, period. Because if you're posting a minute-long video, no one's watching to the end. And if they don't watch it to the end, TikTok downvotes it. Whereas if they watch all 7 seconds or all 15 seconds, that video does better, even though it's short. But yeah. The trick to TikTok is to hang out on videos you like and search the hashtags on TikTok. Because if you just follow your For You page, it'll just show you junk. Like, it'll show you literal garbage. So you have to search for what you want and keep searching. Especially once you post a video on TikTok, go through all the hashtags that you added to your video and like a couple videos in that feed, like from that hashtag. And then TikTok will realize that you like that hashtag and that you like those kind of videos, and it'll send you more of them. And it'll show your video to people who also like those hashtags. TikTok is the one thing I'm like actually half decent at marketing wise. I have tried everything on Instagram and it's just like TikTok tips don't work. Like they kind of work, but nothing works. And it's awful. Like, oh my God, Instagram is just, there's no one on, the only thing on Instagram right now is businesses. So all you're doing is competing with other businesses for businesses' attention. And like actual people are all on TikTok. Like the buyers. Exactly. It's just businesses trying to get to other businesses and it's just a big circle. Yeah. Hey, Captain Starvine, how's it going? That's the other thing about TikTok too, is kind of like, it's more natural. Like it's marketing still, but it's more natural because it's like, hey, here's how I made this thing. Done. Like if you like it, you're going to click their link and be like, oh, I would be interested in buying that thing. Right? Whereas if you don't, it doesn't feel like an ad. It doesn't feel like a sale, right? So it can work really well like that. But yeah, quick cuts, don't waste time. If you talk slow, cut out unnecessary pauses in your talking even, because you can edit really easily on TikTok. It's really easy to make edits. You got a Mercari sale today because you wanted to get rid of some old stuff. You're excited. Ooh. Very exciting, very exciting. Is Mercari like a, is it a thing you sell or is it a place you sold on? I don't know that one. But yeah, TikTok's the place to be because right now it's growing. So there's more users than marketers and businesses on it, but that won't be for long. So get on it now. Ah, you sold on Mercari. Very cool, very cool. Trying to see what was else in this book. I talked about some pitfalls. If your vision isn't meaningful to you, if it's just something you should want, like I should want X, Y, and Z. I should want this promotion. I should want, you know, that house. I should want whatever. But like I should want that degree. But it's really your parents want you to get that degree. That's kind of where you're going to fall into a trap. And make sure you connect your vision to each day, day to day. This also talked about sharing with others. One of the things about the Gretchen Rubin book is that that can work for some people, and it really, really doesn't work if you're someone like me. It will actually make you resist doing the goal if you've told other people about it. So that's one thing I deliberately don't do now after I read Gretchen Rubin's book, because I'm like, oh, that's why that never worked for me. It's just the wrong type of advice. So be very careful with advice like that. If someone's telling you to get an accountability partner or to make sure you track your progress with someone else or whatever, right? Some people that advice is going to work great for, some people it's not. Oh no, 100%. Get on TikTok now because it is only attracting the attention of older people as it goes. Plus, what everyone forgets that, like, if you have a whole bunch of kids on TikTok, they're only going to be kids for like a couple of years. If they're like 15 when they like your page, like in 3 years, they're an 18-year-old. Like that's an adult. That's a full market audience, right? Like, it's kind of like, you got to think a little bit long term too. I always thought that was so silly. It's like, only kids are on TikTok. It's like, yeah, but they're not going to be kids forever. Like, if you catch a 17-year-old, like in 3 years, come on, like they're going to be a 20-year-old. Like, you don't want the 20-year-old who now has known you for 3 years and is ready to buy your stuff. Like, 100% go for it, because you will get a good audience. And also, no, 100%, like, even like Gen Alpha and Gen Z were obviously the first on TikTok. Now millennials are all into it, and it's only attracting like Gen X and boomers too now. So it's gonna get everyone. And whatever, even if it's not TikTok, it might be the next thing that comes along. But never avoid a platform for marketing purposes because you think the audience is too young. You might want to avoid a platform for marketing purposes if you think the audience is too old. Like, I wouldn't recommend leaning into Facebook marketing unless you were deliberately marketing to an older audience. Like, if you were marketing something to people who were definitely adults and like older adults, like maybe millennials, definitely boomers, etc., because that's where you can kind of be more targeted. But yeah, anything else, anything that has I just want anyone who's an adult. Get the youngest audience you can, because they're only going to get older. And plus, every platform starts with the youngest generation and then attracts every other generation. So if it's brand new and popular, it's going to have the youngest generation. But over time, it'll filter into every other generation if it gets big, which TikTok already is. So the book talks about reflecting on how you're actually doing, kind of evaluating each day and each week, and at the end of the 12-week year, kind of how you did. So for me, I make sure like kind of every week I'm doing a goal review, going through, checking off how much progress was made each week, that kind of stuff. We went through that in the goal planning workshop. It talks about not having too broad of a focus, because again, you only got 12 weeks. Make sure you narrow down your focus and pick deliberate goals. Yeah, I mean, Insta Reels are the same thing as TikTok, except the audience is worse. Like, I post on Instagram Reels and TikTok, and the TikToks, actually, it's really weird. Sometimes the Reels do better than the TikToks, but it's always super random, and it never leads to followers. Even when I get an Instagram Reel that does way better than my TikTok, I get like 2 followers from it. Whereas if I have a TikTok do well, I'll get like 100, 200 followers from it. Right? So it's like, okay, like Instagram liked this. They promoted it. They showed it to like 4,000 people. 2 followers. Like, what was the point? Like, you know? So it can get pretty frustrating. YouTube Shorts, I think I tried that briefly. It was just one more thing, and I'm just like, no, I don't have time for that. But if you try it, let me know how it works, because I feel like that one is useful. I feel like that one's more useful if you spend more time actually publishing YouTube videos, which I was doing for a while, which is why I was really thinking about it. But because I stopped posting edited YouTube videos, I'm just posting the lives on YouTube. I'm like, no, I'm not going to waste my time on that. But if you get it working for you, let me know, because I would be very interested to know how to succeed on YouTube Shorts, because again, it's just TikTok, but cross-posted to YouTube. Because it's so funny, like, because Facebook owns Instagram, and Instagram just wants short-form video content, like they're trying to compete with TikTok, half of the video content on Instagram is from TikTok, most of it, in fact. And then if you're on Facebook, you get all these, like, Reels shown to you, and really it's just TikTok. So like everything gets cross-posted. And same on YouTube. Half of the YouTube Shorts are just TikToks too. I say half, but I really mean 90%. Oh yes, make sure everything is cross-linked. That's like I'm really bad with that, because I keep changing like my Instagram handles and names and stuff. I just changed a bunch of them, so I've got to go through and relink everything. I'm sure my link page is a mess now. I get so bad for that. I change them and then I don't relink everything. I have links everywhere. But if you keep your names the same, you won't have that problem. Don't be like me, kids. Gonna be linked into the Etsy affiliate. What's the Etsy affiliate program? How does that work? Yeah, I mean, the thing about YouTube is that it's the best for actually, if you're successful, it has really good like ad revenue. But if you're trying to sell product, you're not really concerned about ad revenue. So it's kind of like the amount of time and effort it takes to actually like get big on YouTube is so high. If what your actual goal is to just sell something, it can kind of be like, that's a lot of time and energy to put into something that, you know, you can do for free on other platforms. So, or not for free, but for less time on other platforms. I'm not sure what it is yet, but you're gonna find out. That's the spirit. I like that goal. Okay, so long-term capacity versus short-term results. Make sure your results are not based on a year secretly. Make sure your results are based on the 12 weeks. If you have like a revenue goal or like a posting goal. And remember to include, you might need a goal that includes things like that build future capacity. So things like education, things like training, things like buying new resources or technology or learning to implement new systems, that kind of stuff. Like those are goals to complete, but in the short term, it looks like you've lost money or it looks like you've wasted time. But in the long term, it's going to benefit you in keeping those things in mind. And also balancing it with activity that does give you short-term results. So if you're going to spend a bunch of money on a course or education or a new employee, make sure you also have something that is kind of paying out at the same time. So you don't have a whole quarter of down. It goes through kind of like some general, the same kind of goal advice we've all heard, like make it smart and measurable. State it positively. Make sure it's realistic. If you're like, I'm going to make $5 million next 12 weeks. And it's like, well, I didn't make that anywhere near that before. So it's like, how am I going to get there? That's not really realistic, right? It's just silly at that point. Oh, be time bound. Make sure you have a fucking like time goal for 12 weeks or whatever it is. If it's something that should be done like every week or something that should be done in a month, make sure you know and mark that down. I'm trying to think if there's anything else here. It talks about team planning again. Making sure your 12-week plan is actually in line with your visions and your goals. And you're not just doing what you should do, even if it's not really taking you in the right direction. Oh, having a plan for when something goes wrong. Having a plan for when you don't want to do it. Having a plan for when something unexpected happens. Oh, this was an interesting statistic. I think I'm almost done on my notes here, but one of the things it talked about was a research study that found patients who had a severe medical condition who had to make lifestyle changes in order to survive. Like they were going to die if they didn't make a lifestyle change, like diet or whatever, exercise or, you know, something like that. Faced with impending death, an overwhelming majority of people still failed to make that lifestyle change stick. They tried, but after 12 months, 90% of patients had reverted back to their old lifestyle. Except the group that had success rate of almost 7 times greater had support sessions, peer support, and peer support groups. They had a success rate of 80%. So the idea is make sure you are hanging out with people who are on the same path as you, who want the same things. If you hang out with people who aren't pursuing goals at all, or the same kind, or they're maybe like that's just not important for them, unfortunately, like it is going to slow you down as well, right? Like you need to be at least including new people in your life, or if you already have them, lucky, who are also on the same trajectory as you, who want these things and who have big goals and big dreams, because then together you're going to be able to make those changes. Whereas if everyone you hang out with does the exact same thing and doesn't get anywhere, you're going to fall back to the average, right? What's the quote? You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If none of those people are doing better than you, guess what? It's dragging you down. You had someone in class with a ridiculous goal. She wanted to make $900,000 doing after-school daycare, $30,000 USD per kid. But according to her, making $30K on jewelry was ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. Like, jewelry businesses can get crazy profitable if you're marketing to the right audience and or mass marketing, right? Like, it depends on if you're trying to sell original one-of-a-kind pieces versus you're trying to sell a whole bunch of stuff, like a lot of pieces. But either way, jewelry's a big business, and you can make whatever you want in jewelry. The jewelry market has options for whatever you need. Daycare, actually, interestingly enough, can go either way. Daycare can be a good profit industry, but it also has big problems because it has huge staffing costs. It has insurance costs. It has all of these overhead costs that daycare is actually really bad for. And it's a really exhausting industry because your clientele is so picky and so stressed out, like parents who want to make sure they have a good daycare. That's a tough industry to be in. You can make money in that industry, but it's not an easy industry. Jewelry actually is nice because you can kind of pick whatever level you want to be at. Like, do you want to be a little small business that works out of your house, or do you want to be like a big workshop that hires, has a factory, or do you want to be like a luxury upscale artisan business where you make one custom ring a month and sell it for $20,000, right? Like, you can kind of do whatever you want. Or do you want to sell 20,000 rings that were $10? You want to do one of a kind or personalized. Very nice, very cool. So kind of that high-end, more customized type of stuff. And those beautiful things. Yeah, definitely find some of the people who have those businesses already on Instagram and TikTok and see what kind of content they're posting. Because if you can make the same stuff, do it. Not the same jewelry, the same type of content. How did they video their stuff? Did they video their design process? Did they make a video of the finished product? Did they kind of do quick cuts between here was one day, next day kind of thing? Or did they, what did they do? And then record the same videos for yourself. It talks about having a weekly meeting if you're in a business with other people, especially if you are the owner of the business, having a meeting every week to actually let everyone kind of plan their week, discuss what worked last week and what didn't, and what they're doing going forward. Just a quick 15-minute meeting. Yeah, make sure everyone is tracking if you're the boss. You want to kind of stay mixed, a few items that are affordable. And that's actually a really good way of doing it, because one of the things I have definitely learned, especially if you're selling on Etsy and doing advertisements, like paid ads, one of the things, especially if you have really upscale, really expensive stuff, you post the ad or your main Etsy item is the big luxury fantasy item that's beautiful and gorgeous and it's the extreme beautiful fantasy version. But what you actually sell is the regular everyday version that everyone can buy, because it activates the emotional center, right? People see the ad for this crazy beautiful thing and they click it because they want to know more, even though they're I'm never going to buy that. I'm not spending $2,000 on a ring or whatever, right, at this point in my life. And then but what they do see is that you also have a $100 ring, and they're oh, I could get the same emotional hit of that beautiful $2,000 ring I just watched But I only have to spend $100, and that's what they buy. So you get all of the sales, and you actually don't ever have to sell that big one, although eventually you will, and that's the trick. Same thing like paid ad. Like if you have one really big, beautiful luxury item, like this is your statement necklace for the season, and it's, you know, it's crazy and luxurious and expensive with all these gemstones or whatever. But then you have the regular one that's only $50 or $150. That's what people buy. But you get their attention, they click on your ad. Whereas if you only advertise the $150 one in the picture, they don't click that. They watch the TikTok of the beautiful big one that took, you know, 100 hours to make. They watch all the TikToks that showed your progress over a month to make it. And then by the end, they're like, that's so gorgeous. I wish I could buy that. Then they buy the cheaper one. Okay, talking about, yeah, every week, measure your execution, like use a goal scorecard, participate in a group meeting to like amp yourself up and keep on track with other people who have goals. For me, I'm part of one business mastermind, but I'm trying to like start on Fridays doing a business mastermind. I keep saying that, and I keep not doing it because Fridays kind of, I'm either working or it's a day off, and then I just don't do it. But I would like to start a business mastermind on Fridays on stream, but I keep not doing it. I will do it eventually. It's on my stupid planner. I just every time I get there, I'm busy. I'm like, I can't have time today. But a bunch of the other stuff that I've started planning has been working. Like book club's been working great for months now. Art club, months now I've been consistent. So it's like, okay, I'm getting there. Business mastermind will be next. Business mastermind and planning. I also added planning to my weekly schedule because I want to do more like bullet journaling and that kind of stuff. Making sure to adjust each week if you need to. If there's different things each week, most people do have different stuff. Keep score. Again, under 65, something big needs to change. Over 85 and you're fine. Somewhere in the middle, maybe just step it up. Percent of things done. Schedule time to review your progress. Otherwise, when are you going to fit it in? You're going to forget. And schedule time like at the start of each day. Buffer blocks. Make a plan to look over your plan every day. Make sure you plan 15 minutes either first thing Monday morning or last thing Friday or whatever your work week is to do that review. I think that's about it. I think that's kind of the end of this. There's probably something at the end of my notes here that's like a system. Yeah, accountability again. It talked about how like one of their goals was to call their mom every day, and it's how that can really. The story was a real tearjerker because it was about how they got halfway through it, and then that was the last time they ever called their mom because that was the last time she could pick up. And it was just like, you know, it was one of those like success stories where it was like, because I implemented this plan to do this call every day, you know, it was the highlight of my year and the highlight of like his day every day. He did that, and it's like, oh god, okay, I've got to do that too. I thought that was really emotional hit. And actually being the person his mom thought he was. So that was a good little story to kind of drill the point home. Oh, good quote about how we're kind of like icebergs in that only a small fraction of our thoughts and emotions are above the surface of consciousness. And a lot of what our brain is doing is below the surface. We don't actually know it. It's in the subconscious. And so if you ignore that 90%, you're gonna be the Titanic. But if you try to account for it and understand that it's there and that you can account for it, like you can learn what's going on in the subconscious, but you have to pay attention. And so kind of one of the things I have is like an impulse tracker, which is, oh, why didn't I meet my goals this week? What was I doing? What was I thinking? What was I feeling? What might I have been scared of? What might I have been feeling negative about? What, like what in my head was causing me anxiety? Like, and just kind of you free write, or you list stuff out and you figure it out, kind of what, you can't really figure out your subconscious, but you can guess, and you can make educated guesses, and then you can test those guesses, right? There's a hypothesis. So the next time you're like, okay, well, next time I'm stressed about money, or I'm stressed about X, Y, and Z, I will try this and see if that helps. And then you kind of you're not just like sitting there being like, oh, I guess I didn't do it. You have a plan to go forward. Yeah, be aware of the costs. Like, write down what, if you're going to post to social media every day or have this many times a week, what does that mean? Like, are you going to have to spend an hour making a video, every day or every week? Right? Especially when you're starting, it can take a while to learn how to do the video editing. But once you get good at it, you can do it pretty quick. And kind of like, what will you have to give up? Will you have to give up watching TV? Will you have to give up scrolling on the internet? Will you have to give up, playing video games? What will you have to give up? And write it down so that it's not a surprise. Oh, the last thing I have on my notes was, this was kind of a story from a rock climber. So it was the difference between failure and failure. And failure, i.e. falling, was, failure is when you don't make it up the route. Failure is when you keep trying until you actually fall. Failure is giving up before you get to that point. So go to failure. Basically, go until you actually stop, until you actually fall off the rock climbing wall. Because in rock climbing, you have a harness, right? Like, you have a safety to catch you. You don't go and hurt yourself. But you also, the point is not to stop before you actually have done everything you could. You might have made it if you'd given it your best effort, but you just stopped. So that was kind of the last little anecdote from the book. It also went through kind of some little stuff that was kind of more Atomic Habits style things, where it's things like how to actually make goals a little bit more manageable, shrink them down, make the initial investment really small, set small progress milestones right near the beginning, because that helps amp you up to keep going. And yeah, make sure you can easily and quickly reach the first goals so that you have some momentum to get you through those hurdles. You posted some cute moon earrings, but you feel bad because you only have one pair to sell. Don't feel bad. I mean, could you make more if more people wanted to order it? Or honestly, never be afraid of selling out of something, because if you can put sold out on something, that's marketing in itself, right? Like, if someone asks you to buy it and they're like, hey, is this still available? And you're like, no, I'm sorry, it's not, but I could custom make you this, or this other product I just posted is available, or, right, you just redirect them to something else. But if you can say, hey, it's sold out, that's actually good marketing, because in their brain, they're like, oh, it's in demand, and it's like high value because someone already bought the one I wanted, so I better buy the next one before it sells out too. Yeah, so yeah, never feel bad about anything that's limited edition, or and post it that way too. Post it like one of a kind, limited edition, like, that kind of stuff, because people like that stuff. Especially like anyone who's buying from a small business like that, they're buying because they know it's handmade, they know it's small business, they know it's made with care, they want to support someone small, right? Like a growing business. So they're looking for that kind of thing. Like, if they wanted something made by like a mass market company, they would go to a mass market company. So yeah, it's good for things like that. All right, we do have some lurkers. Does anyone else have any books they read this month, or anything to say about that book, or anything to say about goal setting in general, or anything else, or any recommendations for books to read? We are in book club, not goal club. They're kind of the same for me. All the books lately have been about goal setting and planning. Yeah, especially if you can just order more times. Like, if you get like a rush of 10 orders, you'd be like, no worries. The estimated time of, you know, delivery will be whatever, like add an extra week for delivery of the charms to you, you know? Or however, like if you're ordering them from China, it's going to take a month. Then you have to write back and be like, just so you know, this will take a month plus a week for me to make them and then another week for me to ship them out. Like, do you still want to make that order? Knowing, you know, these are custom made, that's the time frame. Because again, people understand, like when something's custom made or something's made by a small business, they're not expecting you to be like, you know, Walmart or something where they can just, Amazon, where they can just buy it instantly. They're paying for someone to hand make something. Oh, hey, Dead on Arrival. You're reading, oh, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I've never read that. Is it good? What's it about? I think I've heard of it before. Like, I know about it, but I've never read it. Yeah, I could buy this on Shein. Exactly. The biggest thing is to not take it personally, because that's not your audience. Like, that's not your market. That's the majority of the people on the internet. But there are people on the internet who will buy the small business, custom made, nice little things. So you just have to ignore all the people who say that, because at the very least, at least it's a comment on your post. Just ignore them. You don't need to like delete them or comment back or anything, right? You just ignore them, and then you wait for the people who are interested to find your stuff. Because I guarantee you, there are tons of businesses on Etsy and on their own personal websites who are doing great business selling high quality, custom made things. Yeah, you can post it to the Discord if you, yeah, whatever, type it here, post it to the Discord, whatever makes the most sense for you. It is a coming of age book. I thought it was kind of like a teenager kind of book, right? Do you like it? Would you recommend it? Mm-hmm. Are you just starting it, or are you almost all the way through Perks of Being a Wallflower? Let's check out Julia's Etsy. J3 Jewelry. Is it intentional to have two Y's at the end of jewelry and J3 Jewelry? I'm just checking, because the subscript below it only has the one Y. Just wanted to ask. You just started it. Do you do a lot of reading? Oh yeah, these are super cute. These are all really pretty. So you're making these, Julia? Like, you're not buying them from China and just reselling them. You're like actually like buying the pieces and then putting them together kind of thing? And like making the decisions and the designs? Ah, J3 Jewelry was taken. I see. Yeah, that's annoying. Yeah, I mean, at some point you might want to look into making something more distinctive. Like if that name is taken because it's already a successful, then you might want to look into like changing it to something that's more original, or just adding another word on the end sometimes works, right? Like, or J3 custom jewelry, or J3 handmade jewelry, or, you know, I'm just spitballing here. There's lots of different things you could do. Yeah, you bought all the pieces. And someday you want it to be all handmade, like made in-house, like make the metal parts. Yeah, these are all really pretty. Oh, okay, and you do, like, I was gonna say, like, you should Like for someone like me, I'd want to know whether something was like gold, real gold, gold plated, or gold toned. Because I find it's really annoying when you're looking at something and it's like the price range is like ambiguous. You're like, it says gold, but is it actually gold or is it just like gold toned? And you can't tell. And especially it's really annoying because sometimes you buy something that's actually expensive and then like the gold finish wears off and you're like, that was neither real gold plated nor gold. Why did I spend $100 on that? Like junk. So if you're, the more details you can give, especially if you're at a good price, very useful to buyers. And then yeah, with cubic zirconia and stuff too. Especially for earrings, because like I'll wear cheap earrings, but my ears hate them. Where if it's actually gold, my ears like them so much better. What's the difference between gold-filled brass and gold-plated brass? Like, they're the same thing? Because for me, gold-filled brass is confusing to me as a buyer because I'm like, does that mean the brass is on the outside? It's like the gold, the filling. So if there's a technical difference, maybe explain that. And if there isn't, I would say gold plated because that makes way more sense to me. But I mean, that's just my opinion. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, whenever you know what type of gold it is, like if you know, like as one of them said, like 18K or whatever, put that in the listing because then it just assures people like me that it's actually gold and not an English second language person who is drop shipping from China who has no idea what it actually is made of and they're just calling it gold because it looks gold color. Right, like the earrings from the craft store, right? Like I'll put those things in my ear and I'll wear them for an hour and be like, oh my God, get them out. I'm like, but they look so cute. Gold fills doesn't tarnish as easily. It has a thicker layer of gold. So it's actually better. Honestly, I love jewelry and I didn't know that. I would find a way to put that in your description. And then it's educational too. People love that shit. Also, make a TikTok about that. What's the difference between gold filled and gold plated? Gold filled is actually better because it doesn't scratch as easily, tarnish as easily. And like, you know, go through all the details, right? Make a 15-second video about that.
Here, this is gold filled.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the brass wearing through. You can see how thick the gold layer is.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got kind of an example here. It's like a vintage
It's a
antique
1870s
1870s pocket watch. And so it's gold filled, which means the brass is what's showing through because it's antique.
It's just a little
Very
bit,
cool.
but it's basically the same thing.
Neat.
You're like gold plated, but awesome.
Gold plated but awesome. That's a TikTok right there for you. Oh yeah, this one's got 14 karat gold, 24 karat gold. Like, yeah, beautiful details. Yeah, because for these prices, like, I would not be expecting these to have any real gold on them. So, like, if you can say, hey, get real gold and get this set of earrings for under $20, like, 100%. Like, that is such a great selling point. Oh my goodness. These are... One of the things you can do too is if you're doing things that look like they come from like some of the designer label brands, those brands are notorious for using terrible materials. Like if you buy a Chanel necklace, it's probably fucking brass. Like they don't use real metals because all of their markup is into the branding, not the quality of the jewelry. So you can be like, hey, why spend $500 on a pair of Chanel earrings when you could spend X amount of dollars on my earrings and get real gold plated? Also, I haven't sold on Etsy in a while. If you have the ability to do sales on Etsy, you should do that whenever you get the opportunity, because if you can post a sale price like on, you know, Instagram stories or on a quick TikTok, that kind of stuff, people love sales and you will actually get more business from those. And especially at these prices, like mark them up and then drop the sale price down to like $10 or down to $15 and then sell them at like normal price, $20, normal price, $25, whatever, right? You want to switch to Shopify? I'm using like my own domain with WooCommerce right now for like the stuff I'm selling, but Etsy is good because it does have a built-in market. Like I'm gonna start posting. I don't know if I'm gonna start posting my planners to Etsy, but I feel like I should. Like I feel like there's a huge planner market on Etsy that I'm just kind of like I could be tapping into. Especially before you have a social media following, because if you're trying to sell things on your own website, it's completely dependent on you to drive traffic. Whereas at least on Etsy, Etsy will drive some traffic to you, right? Like people will search on Etsy for heart earrings and, you know, you might pop up or whatever, right? But I'd say in the future, definitely switch to your own platform because eventually that's, you know, you don't want Etsy taking a cut. But while you're building a business, I'd at least stay on Etsy and add something else, but don't like cut out Etsy while you're still building. Yeah, you're gonna raise the prices at some point. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, my initial thought was raise your prices, but then I also thought like, if you're not making sales yet, like, you know what I mean? Like, and you're still making a profit at this price, then continue until you start getting some traction and some social media following, right? Then raise your prices. But as long as you're making a profit, it looks like you are. If you're not making a profit, raise your prices immediately. You know, you don't have to make a huge profit at first because you're trying to attract an audience, but you also don't want to be losing money. And then, like I said, again, you can have a regular price that's higher, mark it down for sale. Okay. You have a bunch of earrings that are unusable because they're too frail. It's been too long to return them. You should let the seller know but you don't have $350 to throw out. So like you bought like pre-made earrings that you can't sell because you don't want to be associated with them because they're too breakable. And you can't just easily return them because it's beyond the limitations. Where did you buy them? Like, did you buy them from someone's specific store? Did you buy them from another Etsy seller? Did you buy them from like some random website? Or was it like Amazon or something like that? Because that all makes a big difference. Was it a big seller or was it like another small business? And are they too frail to do anything with? Like, could you repurpose them into like some other type of jewelry? Free shipping's a great thing to do. People love it, and you will avoid abandoned cart problems because of it. But make sure you account for it in your accounting. What I would recommend for you to read next is Profit First. If you have a library card, it's usually, you can get it. I use Libby because I have a library card, and you can get access to ebooks on Libby for free if you have a library card. Most libraries have Profit First. Otherwise, just go buy the book Profit First. It's definitely worth it as a small or starting business owner, and it will teach you how to like actually do your accounting and account for things like profit and free shipping and all that sort of stuff. Make sure you include free shipping in your markup, like in your cost evaluation if you're going to do it. It is a good thing to do because people love it and people hate getting a surprise shipping charge. But also make sure you're limiting where your free shipping goes to, because you don't want to get stuck with a $50 shipping bill to who knows God where. You know what I mean? The hoops are frail, not the charms. You bought them from a huge Etsy jewelry seller. So like the hoops that go through your ears part. I think you should at the very least start with a message. Like, I don't know how long ago you bought them, but you could very easily be like, hey, I know I bought this ages ago. Like, I'm so sorry to bring this up like way late. Just be honest. Like, hey, I wasn't quite sure what to do, and I didn't get a chance to look at them right away because whatever. You can like give a reason or you can not give a reason, right? It doesn't matter. The point of the message is that now I can't work with these because I thought they were going to be of this quality and they bend in my hands or whatever it is. Right, and just like kind of ask them about it, like start with that, because you might get a seller who's like super apologetic and like wants to make it right. And then after that, if you get a response that's more like, I'm sorry, it's too late, I can't do anything for you, they were sold as is, you're in that boat. But for a purchase that large, like, especially for a seller who, I don't know, like, is it past this point where you can leave a review? Because they want good reviews. Yeah, exactly. When you have like free shipping and you account for like free shipping for one country, you can start to kind of like adjust for other countries too. Yeah, exactly. There's some cool things you can do. Just make sure you're accounting for it within your markup. And then I highly recommend free shipping. But again, actually, the more you get into luxury, like the higher luxury you get, like once you start selling stuff that's multiple hundreds of dollars, especially for jewelry, people are expecting a shipping charge. Like if you're buying $1,000 ring, people are expecting to pay for like shipping and tracking, right? So don't worry about that once you're selling high ticket items. But for small items, yeah, like no one wants to pay $10 shipping on a pair of $20 earrings. Ah, yeah, you'd seen the type of hoop, but the ones you bought were not as high quality. That's so frustrating when you're like, I love this, these were great. And then you're like, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, that's very frustrating. Yeah, I know exactly how you feel right now where you're like, I should just write to them and talk to them. And you're like, but I don't want to do that because that's really intimidating and scary. But yeah, the first step, unless you just want to abandon that money, the first step is talking to the seller, which is not what anyone wants to hear. The second step is to resell them as a bulk item on Etsy. Like, if that's the only sale you make, and you can maybe even be more honest and be like, these are very light duty earrings kind of thing, like bulk purchase, like here you go, and then they're out of your hands again, right? Like one sale, especially if this big name seller sells them all the time, it means that most people probably, it's what they were expecting, right? Like it fits their purposes. So whoever buys it from you, statistically, it would fit their purposes. You know what I mean? Like, and again, like, you don't have to lie. You don't have to be like, these are such high quality blah blah blahs, and, you know, try to cheat to sell them. Just be honest and be like, hey, these are a bunch of earrings. They didn't fit my purposes. I'm reselling them as a bulk item. Here's the price, right? But again, you don't have to go overboard. Like, if the person who sold them to you has sold, like, regularly sells them, you know what I mean? Like, you can be a little bit more disclosure-y, but don't, like, tank your listing just because, you know, they weren't what you needed. They might be exactly what someone else needs. Especially if they are gold, right? Like, if they are real gold-plated or whatever. You know, they're probably what someone wants. And is that what they're designed to do? Like, the thing they're designed to do, they break when you do it? Or is there another way to use them? Like, could someone buy them and use them in a different way that wouldn't break them? Oh dear. Yeah, start by contacting the seller who sold them to you. Because again, you might have got a bad batch or something too, right? Like, sometimes factories do produce off versions of things, and you get a batch and you're like, this is useless. And then the seller's like, what? I use these all the time in my jewelry. How did that happen? Or they might have, like, advice like, oh no, I use these all the time. The trick is you have to do X, Y, and Z. You might get an answer like that. All right, we're coming up on 10 p.m. here. So I think we're going to finish up book club for today. Does anyone else have any questions? Business or books or reading or things you want to suggest for a future book club? I know we were talking about Perks of Being a Wallflower earlier, which is one I haven't read myself. And again, Business Mastermind. I love business talk. I fucking love business talk. So if you also love business talk, if you have your own business or you want to start one, or you just like talking about businesses or listening to business talk, make sure you follow. Make sure you join the Discord. I'll post the Discord again. And comment here or in the Discord with what kind of business you have or would like to have. And if I get enough people who actually are active on the business Discord, I will be more likely to actually host Real Business Mastermind on Fridays. So that's the secret. Woohoo! It could happen for real. Now that we actually have people hanging out and talking business. Oh, but this week, actually this week on Friday, I do want to do a Real Business Mastermind because I keep saying I want to call it Business Mastermind like happy hour because I never find time to like celebrate wins. And this week I had a huge raid on Twitch and I want to celebrate that because that was really cool. And I got a bunch of new followers and a bunch of new subscribers, and hopefully those are real and Twitch doesn't delete them because I've had bot raids before that got deleted. But this feels real, so I want to celebrate that. And at the very least, it was fun and exciting. So we'll do something on Friday for kind of a celebration stream. Business happy hour. So come join me on Friday evening between, I don't know, 5, maybe starting at 5, maybe starting at 8, maybe starting whenever. It's a mystery because I'm Natasha. Ooh, look, Julia's getting stuff done. It's productivity stream today. Bam. Now, does your Etsy link to like your Instagram and stuff? Do you have like an Instagram and stuff at this point? Am I logged into Etsy? I'm not. I will log in and favorite your shop. I actually buy jewelry from Etsy. And I love supporting small businesses. And then the only other generic piece of advice for like Instagram, social media, TikTok is to engage. Engage, so much fun. Go find other people's posts and comment, ask questions, answer questions, tell people how great their stuff is, ask questions you already know the answer to, and especially find other people who are commenting on medium-sized accounts. If you find the ones that are on the big accounts, you get buried. But if you find a medium-sized account that has people asking questions like, how did you make X? Or how do I know if I should buy Y? Or if this jewelry would look good on me? Or I don't know what questions people ask about jewelry. I'm not in that niche. Whatever questions people ask of the big accounts in the comments, answer them in the comments. Because then people, especially if your username is something like J3 Jewelry, they'll click your account because they saw you answered a question and you helped them out. And even the people who aren't the questioner, who are just reading the comments, will see that you had useful advice and they'll click your username. So that's the engagement tip of the day. J3_jewelry, okay. Oh yeah, I see it. It's down at the bottom of the page. There we go. Oh, and the Twitter too, okay. But yeah, my other piece of advice is not to worry about every platform at once. Pick one and focus on that for a couple months, then add another one if you're feeling up to it. But like, or do what I do, which is post to TikTok and Instagram, but I literally post the exact same content, so it's not an extra hassle. Whereas if you're posting between like Instagram and YouTube or Instagram and Twitter or something, like it might be more work to like reorganize the content. Maybe worth it, maybe not. So you have followers. Did you delete all the previous content that was on that Instagram? Oh, wait. Wait. Ah, I shouldn't have followed it with that account. I should have followed it with a different account. The right account. Yeah, that was my next question. Who are your current followers? Because if you had a totally different niche, like that can actually be a detriment. But if it was also just Etsy people, that's fine. Like you're good to go. There we go. Followed you with the right account. Yeah, if your Twitter is going to remain like a personal Twitter, not really a lot of point in linking it. If you're going to start putting more business posts on there, then leave it. But I literally, my business Twitter, I only use it because I can auto post from Streamlabs that I'm going live to Twitter, and that's all I fucking post on my business Twitter. Fucking do not use Twitter. I use it for my personal account, but only when I'm doing movie reviews. When I do live stream movie reviews. Live tweet movie reviews. But yeah, pick whatever social media you're most interested in and focus on that. So if you use Twitter in your personal life, use Twitter in your business life. I don't, so I don't worry about it. But if you use it in your personal life, you'll be better at it in your business life because you'll actually care about it and you'll check it and you'll know how things work and you'll see stuff. You'll see the trends. Yeah, you're keeping the name. Fair. Cool, cool, cool. You're welcome. Thank you for hanging out and asking questions. And thanks to everyone else who hung out with me tonight during book club / business club. / all my book clubs end up being business club because I like business talk. If you like more book club talk, hang out next month, first Monday of the month for book club. Next Monday, second Monday of the month is writing club. I keep doing this and it's off camera. Second Monday of the month is writing club. We will be doing writing club next Monday, same time, same bat channel. There's no bats. There's just sugar somewhere. And like I said, I want to do a business club celebration on Friday. So co-working tomorrow, art club on Wednesday. I don't know if design club is going to be very exciting this week because I had something to work on, but it's graphic design on the computer, so it's not going to be visible, so it won't be exciting, but it'll happen because I have to do it. So thanks to everyone. Oh, I better find someone to raid. I always do that. I like make all my sign-offs and then I'm like, ah, shit, it's going to be 10 more minutes because I've got to find someone to raid. So continue hanging out if you'd like to come raid with me. We'll find someone cool. If anyone has any raid suggestions, let me know. Especially anyone who's talking about books or talking about business or anything like that. Otherwise, I'll probably just find someone who's like co-working or a writer. Something like that. Writers, I feel like books. I like writing and I like books. So that's how I do. I like made this whole bowl of chips and then I talked too much and I didn't get to eat any of it. I mean, story of my life. It's okay though, because I actually have to go make dinner, which is my leftover grilled cheese tomato soup balls with sour cream dip. They're so freaking good. I'm so excited. They were so delicious. I made them yesterday. And now I still have leftovers. I'm going to eat them. They're going to be really good. Except the bread we got, like, I think it was too soft. Like I think it was actually had too much preservatives. It was like too squishy and too soft. And it just like, when I deep fried them, they like opened. And I'm like, that's not supposed to happen. The bread's supposed to stay in a clump, like stay in a ball. And so I had to like just keep them upright so that the tomato soup and the cheese didn't like leak out. It was bizarre because usually they're a ball and you can like roll them around and evenly deep fry them. But it was weird, but it worked. They're delicious. And they did float, so I didn't lose all the cheese and the tomato soup. All right, TikTok's finally loading. Who is doing what? Who's doing cool stuff? Oh, I still got some of my Red Bull left. I need it. I'm gonna go out and sleep. I don't want to fall asleep quite yet. It's only like 10. I still have more videos to edit for fucking TikTok. I need to do emotes this week too. Maybe I'll do some of that on Design Club. That'd be more interesting. Twitch. I made one emote. We have one emote so far. We're gonna have more. Computer's so slow. I should let some up on my phone. Otherwise I'll be here forever. There it is. Keep moving my icons around on my phone. Okay. Where are we gonna go? Where are we gonna go? What's everyone up to? Alright, we're gonna go raid David LNG. And yeah, thanks to everyone who hung out and who's hanging out for the raid. I'll send a raid message in here as well. There we go, and there we go. Alright, bye everyone. I'll be back around more this week. It was cool to see you all, and welcome and enjoy. Alright, raid is off. Good to do. Bye guys.